Hello, everyone. I am Ryan Conn, the host of Pivotal Change, and I have a very special episode for everyone tonight. I have taken the rare opportunity to go ahead and block out this entire schedule for me speaking to you on several building platforms. What we're going to do is we're going to take a journey tonight, start to finish, on how to do a few things. I want to start off with a pretty fun topic of we now have a new president here in the United States, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is now a week or so into his new presidential term, and he has done some really dynamic things up to this point. But I'm going to zoom in and focus on just the first few days. And I want to really emphasize what I'm doing here. I am looking at positive leadership traits. I could look at negative and positive both. I am not looking at political agenda. I'm not looking at the politics of things. I'm looking at traits that leaders can do, and I'm choosing to focus on the positive. And we'll actually do later episodes with Donald Trump and other leaders as well to identify negative, what not to do traits. But for tonight, we're keeping it positive so that we can build a path through the episode in all four segments. So, one of the things that I want to emphasize to you is that Donald Trump did a lot of things right in his first 2 to 3 days of leadership. We need to emulate some of these things. There are other leaders, Joe Biden and Kamala, and some of the people that would be on the other side of the aisle also have positive traits. But here's what I want to point out that all leaders can do. The first things that a leader can do is act quickly on their commitments, act quickly on their promises. And it is no doubt, if you've watched the news even for 60 seconds, that Donald Trump was super quick in acting and creating action, executive orders, and progress on the campaign promises that he made throughout his journey to get reelected. This is very important because as a leader, you need to establish trustworthiness. People need to know that you're actually going to follow up and do what you say you are going to do. And the fact that after all of the formalities were over, the swearing in ceremonies, the little processions, parades, and all the handshaking and photo opportunities, he literally pulled himself up to a desk and began signing executive orders, doing in practice what he said he was going to do all along. So any leader out there acting quickly and efficiently and effectively on your promises is a very important positive trait to do. Another thing that he did is that he did a lot of symbolic unity efforts. He did a lot of things where he was trying to knock down barriers and things that have been prohibitive obstacles for various people and various departments and agencies and entities. But even on a higher level, he invited a ton of foreign uh, dignitaries, people that were business people, heads of state, deep seated in the government, and he established relationships with them, got contracts and commitments from them. Some of them were economic deals. One of them that stands out to me was he had a platform where he challenged somebody to raise $100 billion for the effort. Or the guy said, I'm going to raise $100 billion for the effort. Donald said, oh, come on, come back with 200. And the guy actually felt the challenge, felt the positive peer pressure, and came back with a $500 billion commitment to this overseas Asian endeavor. And the other thing that he does is he sometimes can be rocky, but I'm not focusing on the negative. He can feel a little divisive, but he really is reaching out to various people in various ways and saying, here are the expectations, the boundaries that I'm setting. Here what we need to do. We're going to put a pause here. We're going to put some action in this place. And he is very much saying, I want to draw people underneath this common vision and this common umbrella. So making overt unity efforts is something that is very important for a leader. If you have a toxic culture in a place that you work, the fact that you speak out loud that I want to build a bridge here and I want to create a relationship here and I want to create a working environment where there is a network, those symbolic and or overt actions are really important as a positive trait for a leader. The other thing that he does, he gets engagement with key stakeholders. So he does this in twofold. One, he is going back and kicking a back to the American people type of thing. He is getting people in the states, from governors and electoral bodies and states powers, and he says, you are key stakeholders in the American government, and we're going to position things a different way. He's also getting cabinet member positions put in the right place, very quickly appointing cabinet members, new positions, new directives, new goals. And that's going to kind of blend in with some of the other things that are done well by a leader. Transparency and communication. We have never seen in our American history a more transparent version of signing executive orders and taking action, pulling up on a national stage in a giant forum and signing the bills right there with a person standing next to him, translating to the American public exactly what this bill stands for, what the executive order does and does not do. And that was completely new. He also posts things on various media accounts. He's not relying on a traditional media source. He says, I'm going straight to the people on social media platforms. This transparency in communication removes doubt of what any intentions or any actions or inactions are going to produce. That's a key point for leaders, to communicate clearly with transparency and articulate what it is you're doing and you want other people to do. Then the work ethic and the immediate focus on the job at hand. That is incredible. Prioritize and execute is a very famous, now famous saying from Jocko Willink, which says you take your list, you prioritize them, and then you line them up. You put all effort into priority one, it's done. Put all effort into priority two, it's done. So he put his work ethic behind him and did the immediate focus on the priorities. The other thing that he did really well is he's establishing a new culture. So we have a new administration and therefore a new culture. It happens every 4 years, obviously sometimes 8. But he put an America First policy, whether you agree with it or not. He is telling you that this is going to be the culture. We have to make sure that we are taken care of first, so that when it comes time to help other people, we are in the best, strongest position to do that. Direct communication versus social media, as I did before, that is a new culture. He will be directly speaking out as the president, not in traditional media hearings and press conferences and things like that, but straight from his mouth, his X account, his various social medias, and then of course the other media platforms as well. So that's a new culture. He's streamlining government. He is going, as his new culture is, to eliminate inefficiencies, eliminate redundancies, and eliminate programs that do not support the basic function of what the federal government was designed to do. Again, I am reporting not in agreement with policies, but what he is setting out to do. In this new culture, it is clear that it is different from the culture that was just in office. Right, wrong, or indifferent, agree or disagree, it is clear there is a new culture in there. And he's challenging the status quo as it has been done over the last, in some cases, decades. So he is not being shy about saying that there is a new culture. Leaders need to be bold when trying to rebrand, change culture, or pivot into a new area of life. That is a positive trait, to be bold in establishing a new culture. Delegating power is another very important thing that he has done very well so far. Leaders can only go so far if they refuse to delegate and only rely on themselves. So delegating is essential to bandwidth expansion and growth. So he is empowering his vice president. He is empowering his cabinet leadership with new appointments and even new positions. He's reinforcing the military leadership, and anything that he has identified as toxic or dangerous, he is removing. So delegating and replacing power into the mission and vision that he has established is an important positive trait for a leader. And then the other thing that is really important that all leaders must do is set clear boundaries, clear expectations, and of course, setting goals is a huge part of that. So there has been the goal set of huge job creation and huge economic growth. We have all felt the sluggishness and the inflation of the economy. Whether he accomplishes the job or not, he has set a goal that he's going to tackle that and fix it. He's talking about regulatory reform, up and down a list of all kinds of regulations and reforms, about how to do that on the federal level and hand certain things back over to the state. So again, he's being very clear in what he is doing. Everyone should be able to do a quick Google or watch a quick media outlet and understand what his goals and expectations are. He's revising trade policies. Again, right, wrong, or indifferent. He's imposing possible tariffs. He's talking about new networking and new trade agreements with various countries that we exist with, changing how they operate, establishing new ones. So his goals are that he is going to change how our economy functions. Healthcare reform, building a stronger border, looking out for various organizations to be declared as criminal, taking a stance on justice. We know that we can go through and probably look at a real quick checklist, 10, 12, 15 of the highest priority goals that President Trump has set in place. So I ask you, if you take the name Donald Trump out of the equation, and you have any leader in any position, whether it be a kid's softball team, it be one of the largest running corporations, or it be the landscaping business in your region. If you had a leader that came and took quick action on their promises, they did their best efforts to unify everybody under a single mission and vision, they engaged with the key stakeholders that make everything possible. They were very transparent and articulate in their communication, and they had obviously displayed work ethic with immediate focus on goals. You would probably be pretty proud of that leader. If you had somebody that had a very difficult situation, maybe the team wasn't functioning as well as everyone wanted to, and they set out to change that culture into a culture of positivity, initiative, and accountability, that would be a good thing. Take the name Donald Trump out of it. If you had somebody that could delegate power and they did not hoard all of the authority and all the decision making powers, but they appointed highly intelligent people with lots of experience and gave them permissions to then go conquer in their individual and assigned areas, like a defensive coach, a running back coach, a pitching coach, things like that, and let them go run with their skill and expertise, you'd probably say that was a good leader. If they laid out an entire agenda of goals, expectations, and timelines, and everybody knew exactly where we were going and when we were hitting these markers, you would probably say those were pretty good leadership characteristics. So, again, I'm not sitting here trying to brag and boast on Donald Trump. I'm just taking a relevant historical moment and picking out and choosing to be positive about what we just saw. So, go back and look at Donald Trump's first 2 to 3 days in office, and that's going to relate to our next segment that we're getting ready to jump to. I've written an ebook and I've talked a lot about your first 4 hours in any business. Obviously, the presidential job is a little bigger, so those first 4 hours stretch out definitely to 472. But stick right here with us. We'll be back after this break, and we're going to talk about how this applies to your situation and not on the presidential scale. We'll be right back with more pivotal change right after this.